But Joe, they've got a tax problem, don't they?
Right, and I think this is where the planning comes in, is that if you take a look, they have $1.2 million of retirement accounts. They're not big spenders. So what happens to that retirement account? It continues to grow and grow and grow because they're not taking any distributions. This $1.2 million could grow to a substantial amount. What, like we just talked about, at 70 and a half, the IRS mandates that individual to start taking required distributions from that account. That account is going to be taxed at ordinary income rates. So if you take a look at $1 million, that distribution is going to be close to $40,000. If that grows to $2 million, right, you could double that. That distribution is going to be $80,000. That's going to push that individual potentially into higher tax brackets. Here's huge mistakes that people potentially make because they feel, hey, content in their retirement because they have enough assets. The problem is, Al, is what? They're going to lose so much of that money to taxes that they'll be like, wait a minute, what happened here? And their CPA, potentially, no offense, but is not giving them this advice.
Well, that's true. So I'm going to try to set the record straight. So the solution in this case would probably be to delay Social Security, because when you don't have Social Security income, you've got lower income, right? In this example, there'd be virtually no income. You could do about $100,000 in Roth conversion and still stay in the 25% bracket as an individual taxpayer with your standard deduction and itemized deduction. So in 4 years, you could have $400,000 converted in low brackets. And then you want to think about something else too, which is maybe you want to do 2 Roth IRAs of $100,000 because maybe you want to do one as equities, one as fixed income. Which one does better over time? Whichever one does better, that's the one you keep. And the other one you can recharacterize, meaning you can put back into the IRA all the way until you file next year. It's a great, great strategy. And by the way, the Social Security, if you wait till age 70, from $30,000 will be about $40,000. So I tell you what, at this point in the show, what we want to do is kind of summarize some of the things that we've talked about. And we're going to bring in our own Jack Dugan and Joe Anderson to talk about planning considerations and techniques.
Hey, I'm here with Jack Dugan, certified financial planner, senior investment advisor. How you doing, bud?
Good to see you.
Hey, what I want to get into, since Al just confused our viewers to no end about something with this and this, let's get into the real simple steps that people need to take when they plan for their retirement.
Well, I think, Joe, one of the first things people need to figure out is where they are in the savings program. And I kind of categorize people into 2 different categories. You're either early Earl or you're catch-up Carl.
All right.
Early Earl means you've got plenty of time on your hands. You're able to use compound interest to your advantage. Albert Einstein said the 8th wonder of the world was compound interest. Catch-up Carl, on the other hand, is behind the 8 ball. He needs to pick it up. And we see a lot of that with people in their 40s and 50s that really haven't gotten there. So they really have to accelerate their savings program.
I would say most people are probably catch-up Carl, right? So when you look at that, so what are some steps? So, all right, we got to take a look at what's the savings, all right, and what else do people need to take a look at?
So then they need to look at as far as what their spending is going to be, you know, and the easiest way for people to look at their spendings, because a lot of people will spend a whole lot of time, and I think wasted time, in trying to come up with an overall budget. Take your paycheck, look at what your net paycheck is every month, and more than likely, that's what you're going to need when you're in retirement. There may be some exceptions in there. Maybe you're putting kids through school or something like that, that you won't have that expense once you get into retirement. But generally speaking, whatever I'm making today is probably what I'm going to need in retirement.
So we're taking a look at savings. So, all right, where are we at in that game? You have to take a look at what you're spending.
Correct.
What else should we look at?
Then you want to look at is where are my savings? Okay, because taxes, like Al just mentioned, is a huge component of this. And if I have all of my savings into my 401k or my IRAs, I'm going to end up with that huge tax problem. So I want to start spreading it out so I can control my income once I'm in retirement. I want to have money, hopefully in a Roth. I want to also have some non-qualified money so I can control my income when I'm pulling money out of those pools to keep the tax brackets as reasonable as
basically
possible.
You want to have a good idea where your assets are held.
Absolutely.
Right, because I think one of the mistakes is that, all right, well, hey, maybe I'm a really good saver, but if I'm saving all in one particular area from a tax perspective, I could be hurt on the way out because all of those assets are taxed at the highest of rates.
Correct. Absolutely.
So here's some, let's take a look at some techniques. Okay. So, right, we're looking, hey, we got to take a look at some inventory. What are we saving? What are we spending? What are the assets and what are the goals? But when you look at some techniques, delaying Social Security, Jack, what do you think about that?
Huge deal. as we all know, once full retirement age for most of us in the baby boomer generation is 66 years old. Okay, it goes up to 67 as you're younger. However, the increase that you can get by delaying Social Security from 66 to 70 is 8% a year, or a compound of 32% total. That's a huge difference as far as income.
Yeah, but if you take a look at that, but in practice, how many people actually will implement that?
Most people take it at 62.
Right. And so that's a huge problem.
Absolutely.
So if you take a look, or if I'm taking it at 62, I'm receiving a 25% haircut. If I continue to work a little bit longer, or maybe start drawing down from other savings to get that 8% delayed retirement credit, that's 133% differential, and we're living a heck of a lot longer.
Absolutely. And the thing is, it all comes down to with retirement planning is cash flow. Cash flow is king. So if I don't have any other option, of course, I have to take Social Security at 62. But if you can do anything you can do to delay that, you're getting a huge return on that investment.
So there's also this 4% rule.
Yeah.
Right? Talk a little bit about that.
Okay, 4% rule, what that means is, and you mentioned it earlier in the show, is the drawdown percentage that is supposedly considered a safe drawdown withdrawal. In other words, if I can take 4% of my total assets and draw them down, there's a good likelihood that I will not run out of money in my lifetime.
So what that means is that if I have $100,000 saved, I don't want to take out any more than $4,000 per year.
Absolutely.
And if I have a 30-year life expectancy, I should be pretty good depending on the overall allocation of the account.
Historically speaking, now there is one caveat there that we need to consider, is the fact that interest rates are so low right now, the fixed income part of our portfolios are generally not returning what they did 30 and 40 years ago. So you want to be really on the safe side on that 4% rule.
And then just to piggyback again on some taxes is the tax efficiency of it. Right, because if I have a 4% distribution, but all of that is sitting in my retirement account, of course, depending on how much money that I'm taking out of the overall portfolio, right, all of that might be taxed at ordinary income rates. That will potentially boost up that distribution rate where, hey, again, I might be potentially running out of money. Absolutely. So you want to look at your saving strategies. You want to take a look at delaying Social Security. You want to look at, hey, am I taking out more than 4% of my overall portfolio? Am I ignoring taxes? Because in most cases, a lot of you viewers, one of your biggest expenses might be taxes in retirement. You probably never heard that before until now. It will be if you've saved any money. Jack, thanks so much. But hey, where can people find you?
Definitely go to purefinancial.com, Your Money, Your Wealth, and great information on that website.
Wealth of knowledge right here. How about Gentleman's Choice? No? It just tastes expensive.
Yeah.
Good one.
Good
All right. Hey, don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back to wrap up the show because we're going to flip the show back to you. We got one more case to go through, but then we're going to get to your emails. Show's called Your Money or Wealth. We'll be back in just a second.